Today we're going to cover outside mount applications and measuring for outside mount or outside bracket applications. We've already covered inside mount or inside bracket applications, which is what we have here. This is a roll shade system mounted inside the window casement area. I'm going to use this as a reference point, so there's a few things I want to point out as we're measuring for an outside mount application or an outside bracket application. For starters, make sure you have a high quality tape measure. 16 to 20 feet is usually sufficient. Make sure it's a wide tape, okay, and very stiff so that you can stretch it out 8 to 10 feet without it flopping on you. It's going to be very helpful when you're measuring by yourself, especially larger applications, larger windows. Also make sure you have yourself a handy ladder. Certainly make sure it's of better quality than mine, but that's also very important. Make sure that you're well suited, well stabilized in terms of high windows where you're going to need a ladder. Don't want you falling and cracking your head, okay? All right, so we're going to start with how do we go about measuring for a roll shade system specifically on an outside mount or an outside bracket application. An outside mount or an outside bracket application is an application where you're not mounting the system inside, okay, the window area. You're mounting it outside and above the window area. So in an outside mount or an outside, an outside mount or an OM, outside measure application, shade system would be mounting up here. So therefore, we want to make sure that we have enough coverage or overlap on both sides. In this particular instance, we don't have to worry about the right side because of the perpendicular wall. There is no need for an overlap there. On this side, however, we do need to address the overlap. My recommendation is a 2-inch overlap, fabric overlap, beyond the edge of the window. Now, if this is bull-nosed, if it's rounded, I suggest 2 inches beyond where that rounded portion becomes flat with the wall. So essentially where the wall is flat, 2 inches past for your fabric. Now, this is where it gets really, really important. If you look at this roll shade system, you'll see the bracket is here, okay? The hardware is here. But you'll notice the fabric is back this way. Look over there. This gap between the bracket or the hardware and the fabric is going to be anywhere from 3/4 of an inch to an inch on a roll shade system. It's inherent of the product. 3/4 on a manually operated system, 7/8 on a DC system, 1 inch on an AC system. So make sure you keep those numbers in mind, because what you're going to have to do is account for that when you're measuring. So for example, if I'm measuring the width, and I'm just going to get the width along the top, or I can get it anywhere, really. For an outside mount, you can take that width pretty much anywhere. If there's some variance here in the wall, not a big deal. As long as you have enough of an overlap, it's not really that critical. So I'm just going to take that measurement here, okay, about the middle of the window. I have a measurement here of about 56 and 7/8. So I want to make sure that my bracket is my fabric is 2 inches past. Therefore, I need to make sure that my bracket is 3 inches past if it's an AC system. And I would just use that same model for all systems just to make simple math. So if I'm at, again, what I say here, 56 and 7/8, I'm going to add 3. So we're 59 and 7/8. You can just round up to 60. What that's going to do, again, is give you a fabric overlap of 2 inches. Keep in mind your bracket's going to be an inch beyond where your fabric stops on each side. So make sure you add that 3 inches to both sides. Don't forget to add it to both sides. Now, if we have something like trim or molding that's here and surrounds the window, I always suggest measure to the edge of the trim on both sides and then add your inch for this side, add your inch for that side. So your shade system or your bracket system is going to be an inch beyond the molding, but your fabric will be lined up with the edge of the molding, okay? It'll cover all of the molding. If the fabric is short or shy of the molding, it doesn't look as nice. My personal preference is have the fabric cover the molding however wide that molding is. Now, as far as the length is concerned, what we typically want to do there, you can measure it pretty much anywhere you want. You don't have to get specific on this. I'm going to measure the height here on the left side. It's 58 inches. I'm going to add to the bottom whatever my overlap is on the side. That way it's framed all the way around, the same dimension all the way around. Now keep in mind, with roll shades your length is adjustable, so it's not that critical, but just for a frame of reference, make sure you add 2 inches to the bottom if in fact that's going to be your overlap on each side. And then whatever your hardware system is that you're using up top, you want to add that to the top here. So the bottom of the hardware system is essentially at the top of the window here. This happens to be a 5-inch fascia. It's a battery-powered system, so it's a 4-inch front to back, 5 inches tall. So if I'm going to measure for a battery-powered system, I'm going to take my 58 plus my 2 down below, which gives me 60, plus my 5 above, 65, is going to be my height measurement for this roll shade system. Therefore, again, hardware is going to sit above the window, bottom is going to be equal to the sides, it's going to be framed nicely all the way around consistently. Again, with roll shades, you do have the ability to adjust the length on site, but again, just so you understand what we're aiming for in terms of the fit and the look, that's what we're aiming for. And that really does cover it today for measuring outside mount or outside bracket applications with roll shade systems.